It's okay? Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us in this first session, which I hope will not be the siesta session, especially because it will be a particularly challenging session, as we will be only the two of us here in presence with you. There will be the other interventions will be online, but we will try to keep it alive, and we'll try to exchange. Especially, please do not feel frustrated if you cannot express yourself in this first session, this plenary session. But please remind that we have the workshops, which are the most important part actually of these days, when everybody can express himself, herself, and when we can bring our own ideas. So please take notes. Do not hesitate to share your ideas in the workshops, which are different in the different languages. I would like to thank very much COMESE, the CCE, for this opportunity, the Slovak Bishops' Conference for this opportunity, also to speak about the demographic transition, the demographic challenges. I will try to guide you in this first session, and I would like to introduce with some simple facts this idea, which come from the European Commission report on the impact of demographic change, which is, we will have now a video message from the Vice President of the European Commission, Dubravka Šuica. And the Commission noted that from the 1960s until the mid-90s, the average number of childbirths per woman in Europe decreased. It recovered somewhat at the beginning of the 21st century, and then roughly stabilized in the decade that followed. In 2018, the figure stood at 1.55 children per woman. This is below the value of 2.1, considered to be the level required to keep the population size constant in the absence of migration. Almost no region in Europe has a rate at this level, which is the level defined as the replacement fertility rate of 2.1 children per woman, with some regions registering a rate of less than 1.25%. This is the case, for instance, in the northwest of the Iberian Peninsula, southeast Italy and Sardinia, and some parts of Greece. This is a topic for which Pope Francis has often appealed to institutions, to political authorities, to the society at large, to be aware of. Last year, I interviewed at the General States of Natality in Italy, in Rome, which were organized by our Italian organization. And let me, by this, also introducing myself. I'm the Secretary General of the Federation of Catholic Family Associations in Europe. It's then an honor now to leave virtually the floor to the video message of Vice President Dubravka Šuica, who is the first commissioner in the history of the European Union whose portfolio is devoted also to the demographic challenges. She's the Vice President for demography and democracy. It's also a very interesting combination. So I will leave the floor to the Vice President Šuica with her video message. Thank you very much.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation to address you today. Families form the core of our society. It is through families that we live full and prosperous lives. It is through the support of families that we heal in difficult times. This is why it is crucial to keep families at the center of our policy making as we reflect on life after the COVID-19 pandemic and other shocks and crises. As we observe with horror the unfolding aggression in Ukraine. The European Commission strives to balance our policy making for all family members, from the youngest to the oldest, across all policies. We must make sure we leave no one behind. We will certainly not leave any Ukrainian child without support and needed care in line with the child rights strategy. A thriving family helps create a thriving democracy, environment, economy, society, because they are independent. The Commission continues supporting the well-being of all types of families. We do this through a variety of measures on climate change, economic and social matters, including demographic change and intergenerational issues. During the pandemic, we have seen that students have suffered a gap in their education due to the lockdown period. We also know that our youngest citizens have paid a big price when it comes to socialization and growth. This is why we have proposed this year to be the European Year of Youth, filled with activities for the participation of youth. The way we work has also changed as a result of the pandemic, with teleworking becoming common for many of us. During the pandemic, unpaid and informal domestic and care work has exploded at the expense of grandmothers, mothers and daughters as the support from outside the families decreased. To address some of these issues, we have ensured that the social resilience pillar plays an important role in the Recovery and Resilience Facility. Already more than 150 billion euros are dedicated to social expenditure, amounting to 32% of the overall funds that have been allocated for this purpose. The possibility to balance work and family life is key for modern societies where both women and men are professionally active and increasingly share care responsibilities. The Work-Life Balance Directive is a step in this direction. It introduces paternity leave and grants a right to flexible working arrangements and carers' leave for both men and women. The availability of affordable and high-quality care systems is key to enabling both women and men to combine work and family life. The Commission will, under my leadership, present a European care strategy in September. It will focus on care at different stages in life, including both long-term care and childcare. It will highlight the vital role of quality care services for society and the economy as a whole. The European Child Guarantee addresses specific aspects of child poverty and social exclusion. For every child at risk of poverty or social exclusion, the guarantee recommends member states to provide free and effective access to early childhood education and care. Effective access should also be provided to adequate housing and healthy nutrition. This will greatly help less affluent families and will directly benefit some 18 million children across the Union. This brings me to my work on comprehensive European strategy on the rights of the child. We are talking here about the rights of the most vulnerable children who have the right to the same protection and access to services. We look at services such as education, healthcare and socio-economic support and the necessary protection online for children in a digital age. The strategy forms the overarching framework of the Commission's support for children. When we support one child, we are supporting their whole family. From a child's perspective, this offers hope. The pandemic has also cast a different light on rural areas. More people see them as areas offering a better quality of life. This increase in teleworking may bring benefits to rural areas by allowing high productivity and high-income jobs. Families are also places where a variety of topics are discussed and deliberated. This is similar to the Conference on the Future of Europe. I have been calling upon you in the past months to ensure that the voice of all families is being heard in the conference. Today, it is not politicians alone who are shaping the future of the European Union. Each family is a precious and unique environment, no matter how large or small they are, no matter their chosen composition. Each family has its own story to tell, so make sure that yours is also heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Vice President of the European Commission. So a lot of work to be done, a lot of work, a lot of challenges in front of us. And with this, we continue these first institutional interventions with the online presence of the Slovak Minister for Labor, Family and Social Policies, Minister Milan Krajniak, whom I don't see yet on the screen. Maybe he's already, otherwise we will skip to the next speaker.
Dobrý deň, vážené dámy, vážení páni.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak at European Catholic Social Days. I know that the official topic of this conference is social policy in Europe after the pandemics, but perhaps we all feel that the situation has become dramatically more complicated in recent weeks. Today, we should have been talking about helping people who suffer from the effects of the long COVID, from psychological problems, or from the fact that they lost their loved ones in the pandemics. We should have talked about how to learn to live with COVID in its current form, because it is obvious today that despite vaccination, this disease will be with us for some time to come. At the same time, we wanted to focus on the people who have lost their jobs because of COVID. We see a number of employees who, because of changes in the labor market, are no longer able or willing to take up employment in their former profession. Conversely, we have increased demands for some other jobs. New family and social policy strategies need to be prepared for all these cases. It is not only the health service that needs to be prepared for this, but the entire public administration. These are extremely difficult tasks we have to face. Instead, however, we have been forced to, in recent weeks, to deal with the war in Ukraine. This is understandable. The war is in our neighbors, affects us deeply. If you allow me, I will leave international and political situation and the war itself to people who deal with this subject professionally. I will concentrate on the social aspect of this current situation. This war threatens the security and lives of millions of people who are fleeing it. It fundamentally changes not only the political stability and social situation in Ukraine, but in the whole Europe. I consider it to be not only human, but also a Christian duty to help the people, women and children, fleeing the war. It is essential to provide them with safety, home and food, or help them with transport if they know where they want to go. Although the people fleeing Ukraine declare their interest in returning to their homeland as soon as possible after the end of the war, we must prepare for the fact that they will be living with us for a longer period of time. We therefore need to take necessary steps to ensure that they can find employment, that their children can go to school or nursery school, or they can integrate into our communities. This creates a second package of challenges we have to deal with. When I prepared this speech, I originally used the word challenge instead of problem. But I realized I don't want to look at it in this way. Instead of that, I want to talk about opportunities. If we tackle them together, we will have a better life in Slovakia and in Europe. First and foremost, we need to appreciate the enormous cohesion that people in Slovakia and across Europe are expressing in support of refugees from Ukraine. It helped to a large extent to bring together fractured society. Today we see thousands of volunteers working together to help people in need. Basically, what we are seeing today is people uniting for the right cause. This was not the norm during the pandemic in our country, and we must do everything we can to seize this moment and help bring humanity and mutual respect back into our society. The second challenge is to rebuild the labor market. People are coming to us from Ukraine with the same work habits and the same willingness to integrate into our society. We have the opportunity to help the refugees and our economy and to fill jobs that have been vacant for a long time or that have been caused by a pandemic situation. I'm talking about jobs that Slovak citizens are not interested in anymore, either in the long term or because of the pandemic. We have more than 32,000 such vacancies in Slovakia, which is many times more than the number of people who have fled so far and asked to work here. In addition, we have another 60,000 seasonal vacancies in the catering and tourism sector. If we can match the demands of the labor market with the opportunities of people seeking security with us, it could be a win-win situation for everyone. Thirdly, we also need to look at the demographic problem we have in Europe. We have long argued that the demographic crisis cannot be solved by uncontrolled migration from third countries. However, this is an entirely different case. And if some of the refugees decide to stay with us after the end of war, to work and to contribute to the development of our society, we should be looking for ways how to accommodate them. Nurses in hospitals and social workers are just one example that I am already that are lacking to us. Last but not least, I see a great challenge for the renewal of spiritual life. COVID was a deep wound for many believers. Closed churches, postponed masses, but also the loss of faith is something the church has struggled with over the last 2 years. Today we see that nuns and various religious orders are among those helping at the borders. The importance of word compassion, mercy, and helping our neighbor are mentioned again, which has always been a distinctive contribution of Christianity. If we can rise to this challenge, I see a great potential for a restart of spiritual life in Slovakia after COVID. Man does not live by bread alone. A separate chapter will be the inevitable development of social policies caused by rising inflation. It does not matter whether we see the economic recovery after COVID or the war in Ukraine behind inflation. The increase of prices is a reality. Many families have problems to pay their bills, and the rise of prices is not over yet. It will be a great challenge for all the state to be able to combine effective help for refugees with helping their own citizens to afford more. We must not forget this. We must not allow extremists to use this issue to once again succeed in dividing society and pitting people against each other, neighbors or believers from the same parish or community. I feel that I have by no means grasped all the challenges that lie ahead of us, but I look forward to a fruitful discussion at your conference and further contribution, and I'm confident that together we can address the challenges which will help to Slovakia and Europe.
Thank you. Many thanks to Minister Krajniak. I take away from this intervention the word opportunities in the plural form. Opportunities also for the spiritual life after this crisis, these 2 years, but also in the light of the new crisis, no? Which without we cannot avoid to refer to the war in Ukraine. That's why I think an occasion like the social days, European social days, is a precious moment where to meet each other in person, where to exchange, especially after all this period we wouldn't able to do so. With these words, I'm very happy to give the floor to the panelist who is here present with us, Meisa. Meisa Daino is a board member of Caritas Finland. She will highlight the rural-urban divide, which is one of the most important aspects of the demographic challenges, of the demographic transitions. These differences between the rural areas and the urban areas. Meisa is a pharmacist by profession. She comes from North Iraq, and she's in Finland since when she was 12 years old. So she's bringing us a very interesting perspective from Finland, from a northern country with her rich personal background. Thank you very much, Meisa.
Thank you, Nicola, for the introduction. Good afternoon, dear fathers, brothers, and sisters. So, before I go to the main subject, the rural-urban divide, allow me to introduce to you first the Catholic Church in Finland and also Caritas Finland. So, as he mentioned, I have been now in the board of Caritas since 2017, and from the January of this year, the treasurer of the board. And I have also founded the Young Caritas Group in 2019. And by profession, yes, I'm a chemist and pharmacist and working in the healthcare sector for the last 10 years. So our church is known as Immigrant Church of Finland because the main church is the Lutheran, and we have only one diocese of Helsinki. So we are talking about small-scale church or diocese, and also small-scale Caritas. We have 8 parishes, 2 are in Helsinki, and 6 are in 6 different cities all over Finland. So every parish has many small diaspora areas that they serve, and we have found out that the diaspora areas have very limited church life, which is also a problem that we will go through it. We have 28 priests for now, and Bishop Emeritus Teemu Sippo, and still waiting for a new bishop. So about Caritas Finland, we have also only one main office in Helsinki, 4 employees, and our Secretary General is Larissa Frans Koivisto, plus the board and about 50 volunteers. And we have about 300 members, so also a small-scale Caritas organization. Before going further, I will tell you about our migrant church. That over half of the Catholics we have, they are from immigrant backgrounds. So 55% of the Catholics, registered Catholics in Finland, they speak foreign language. And about only 40% speaks Finnish, or they're native Finnish. And 4 to 5% speak Swedish. Yes. So the demographic transition and family life in Finland, so it's a welfare state, as maybe you know, and our society model in Finland is like a 2-employee model. And every family with small children, they have the right for the daycare. We have also unified school system and compulsory education until the age of 18. In 2021, about 500,000 of Finland's population, so about 7.5%, are foreign speakers. And registered Catholics, we have until now about 16,000 Catholics, and we believe that half more of the amount they are unregistered for different reasons. And the working age is really aging all the time, as it's, I think, in the whole Europe. And we are in desperate need for new workforce. And also, unfortunately, the working life is so polarized in Finland already. So I would say bad jobs or low-paid jobs are kept for the migrants or for the people with very low language skills. And in worst case, it might cause human trafficking and modern slavery, which we are in Caritas Finland focusing on it to prevent this kind of worst scenario. So, as I said before, that we are a migrant church, and over the half of the Catholics are from immigrant backgrounds. They're also the active ones, or the active church attenders, the first generation of the immigrant families and people. And usually when an immigrant or refugee ends up to Finland, they are really, in the first years, placed on the rural areas or small municipalities, which there's no Catholic church, so they are these diaspora areas, and they have really limited church life. And this has affected, for example, the growing children or the nowadays young Catholic adults when they have active church life. And what we have noticed in Caritas Finland, that when the second generation or third generation of these immigrant families move to the city or to the capital or bigger urban areas, they face many difficulties. For example, how to find a place to study, how to find a new job, also to adapt to the urban life, and also to get into the church life, as they have been in diaspora areas. It's really difficult for them to get into the church life. And as Father Milos also pointed before, that we have also in Finland many Catholics who are baptized. They have been getting the confirmation, so on, but they are not like living the real Christian life. Yeah, I will go further now. So, how we try in Caritas Finland to reduce this divide between the rural and urban areas. We have many different projects, but I have mentioned here only four of them. So from these 4 employees, we have 1 social worker who guide and advise the newcomers, families or young adults how to benefit, so how to get the social benefits from the state, how to get into the city life, for example, in the bigger cities. We have also a friendship cafe project with executions. So the focus group is the lonely people, the people with mental health problems, and also the young parents or young families with young parents. So they could get to have friends and also to get to know the city life and experiencing also the city life. And one of most important projects is this Dhoni Model, and Dhoni means work in Finnish language. So this work project or work model was an EU project with the Turku University of Applied Sciences, but Caritas Finland made a lightning version of this model, and we focused on the young parents. So the main was to prevent the skills of these parents from the skills of young parents to the strength of working life. And they were almost like 90% of them from immigrant backgrounds. And also they had some kind of traumatic behavior of what they have already experienced in their home country before coming to Finland. And one of our projects is also this Inditex project. It's a recycling clothing project where we have also an immigrant employee to get her to introduce to the working life. And also it has been helped many young families with many children, as they are with low income. So this is also one of the ways how we have helped the young families. And when we asked our young people, I mean, they could be like young parents or also young like couples or single young Catholic people. They wished, like from Catholic Church, that they would get better flow of information about different events, different communities in our church, and also they wished for a more organized group so they could get into the church life easier and smoother. And what they wish for from Caritas Finland, that they would get the guidance and advice before moving to the bigger city. So, still we have time? Okay. I will skip I have here only explained the projects, how they have been done. So as conclusion, as Caritas Finland, we are supporting the young newcomers as young parents or young adults to the urban areas, like through the different projects and activities. Also, we are trying to strengthen our cooperation with the Catholic parishes so we would know how to get them into the active church life easier. And our young Caritas Finland, it's very small and young group, only of 20 volunteers, but our main focus was to bring social awareness. For example, we have this waste food distribution twice a month, and the aim of the project is to minimize the waste and also to utilize the surplus food to benefit people and to benefit families. And usually we have 30 families who benefit from this waste food distribution. And also we have done our recycled candles. We have been cooperated with our Dominican culture center, Studium Catholicum in Finland, by collecting all the remains of the candles from the churches and recycling them, also in recycled jars. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, and yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mesa. Thank you. I hope we'll have time to go a bit deeper into your projects, but what I feel, I'm really happy of these Catholic Social Days because you can really feel this integral approach, no? That even Caritas, everybody has within the Catholic Church, and this is the Catholic style, not to think the person as an individual, just an isolated person, but in his or her environment. And this is what you are doing on the ground. I say that because from a Brussels perspective, sometimes we have the tendency to be isolated in our own fields of competencies because of the European Commissions, European institutions are like that. But when you go on the ground, you can see that really there is this integral approach, working with real people. And with this, I have the honor now to give the floor to Professor Giancarlo Blangiardo, who is connected, I suppose, from Milan, with us online. Professor Blangiardo has been president of the Italian National Institute of Statistics, ISTAT, since 2019. I will not mention all the responsibilities he has. He has authored more than 250 papers in several scientific journals. He also teaches at Pontifical Institute John Paul II. The whole biography is on this booklet. Professore, grazie mille per il suo tempo. I switch very briefly for the interpreters to Italian. Grazie mille per il suo tempo.
Thank you for your time, Professor. Thank you. We know that you are very busy, but I would like to thank you for being here. And Italy is one of those countries which suffers this demographic winter most. And we are pleased to have your contribution, and perhaps allow me to bring to the table one topic. As an organization, we have worked a lot on the so-called PNRR. This is the Recovery Fund of Italy, the National Plan for Resilience and Recovery. So in all this, where is our future? Where does our future lie?
My first language, so I'm not so sure to give you my messages. Anyway, thank you, and sorry because I had not the link, so I had not the possibility to connect before. But I'm not in Milan, I'm in Ancona, because there was the starting of academic year of University of Ancona. So, the Italian demographic winter. I send you some few pages with some consideration as regard what is happening in Italy according to demography and to the demographic winter. Now I would like to share with you some slides. I will try to share. Okay, can you see?
Yes, we can see them.
Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Please?
I don't know if... Yes, we can see this. Right?
Yeah, thank you very much. Wow. So what is happening in Italy? I will start with the presentation, just a moment. Presentazione dall'inizio. Wow. This is the situation of Italy since the starting of Italian nation. In 1862, we was 26 million inhabitants. Now we are less than 60 million. And as you can see, the total population had usually every year an increase of number of inhabitants, of residents. But still, the 2014 Italian population started to go down. And now the last information that as National Institute we gave a few days ago is that now we are 59 million residents. So we lost in 7-8 years, we lost more than 1 million residents. That's why, because the difference between birth and death is very important. Before COVID, we had 200,000 more than 200,000 deaths more than births. And then in 2020, we had a difference that is 350,000 deaths more than births. So the natural balance, the difference between birth and death is the negative, and now is going more and more negative. How many births? So if you see, this is the data 400,005 is the number of births in 2020, but last year, 2021, we had less than 400,000 births. And this is a minimum that we had in our demographic history. COVID, what is the consequences of COVID as regards Italian demography? There you find the death, and there is a peak of death in March, April of 2020, and then a second wave at the end of the year. And there you can see the number of deaths during each month of that year, compared with the level of death, monthly deaths in the year 2019, and then compared with 2021. So you see that really the year of where mortality was very, very high was last year, but also in 2021, the total number of deaths were more than 700,000, or were 700,009. As regard birth, there you see that the consequences of COVID on births started at the end of year 2020, because in November, and especially in December of 2020, we had a number of births that was, you can see on the right, less 10% compared with the similar value of the previous year. And also in January 21, we had less 13.37. Also in February, exception was in March, but because people hoped that after the first wave all was finished, but we have seen that is not so. And then we continue with a continuous reduction on number of births. So at the end of the year, we had 399,000 births in all the country. Only a small message of hope at the end of the year. In November and December of 2021, the number of births were quite similar to the number of births at the end of 2019, before the starting of COVID. So we hope that some initiatives as regard the universal contribution to families that have children, that started during the 21 last year, this and some other starting initiatives to support births and family with births, couple for births. And this initiative, I hope, and possibly can give some first outcome. And so I hope that the data of births that we have seen in the last months of 2021 was the outcome, the consequence of some new course that I hope will continue during the 2022. Yes. What is the final of this? So we had a very difficult situation. Here you find in red the total fertility rate of Italy since before COVID. So this from 2013 till 2019, and you see that from 1.39 we slow down at 1.27. It is a continual reduction of the total fertility rate. From the other side, we can see if we consider the statistics coming from Eurostat, for example, that some European countries, and here we have some important example, Germany, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, had some effect of increase of total fertility rate according to some activities that was a support for families to have children. And so my hope, a general hope, I think, is that we can reverse the trend and we can as some other countries have done, we can obtain some outcome if we will be able to introduce a new a normative, but also a new culture, because it's very important to disseminate a culture of an investment in a human capital and to help families that would like to have more children, to give them the possibility to have them. I think that this is possible. The experience of other countries gave some examples, and if it will be possible, if we will be able to link a very good triangulation between household, enterprises, institution, a private sector, and of course the government and the policy. So a link of norms and culture, I hope that will give us the possibility to grow with births almost over 500,000 births every year. This is the Italian situation, and this is I hope, a new course, and hope to continue in this kind of new course. Thank you for your attention.
Grazie mille. Thank you, Professor. What I take from your intervention to support a culture of investment in human capital. This is fundamental, I think. Just as a reminder, repetita iuvant, the total fertility rate, the replacement total fertility rate is 2.1. And as Professor Blangiardo has explained very well, Italy is going down, and many countries with Italy. And the professor mentioned some countries. Among these countries, there is Hungary. So we continue, let's say, on a more positive note regarding the demographic trends, giving the floor to Balázs Molnár, I'm the vice president of the Institute for Demography and Families, the Maria Kopp Institute in Hungary. Again, I will not list all his responsibilities and his positions, but just maybe one important one is a father of 3. Thank you. Thank you very much for being with us online. We look forward to listening your perspective from Hungary, what has been done in this last decade, I would say.
Thank you very much indeed, Nicola, for your kind introduction. I am truly sorry that I cannot be with you in person in beautiful Bratislava, but I will nevertheless try to say a couple of words about why what we are trying to do here in Hungary and why we believe that this is truly important, that we encourage young Europeans to have as many children as they wish. As we all know that young Europeans in childbearing ages would wish to have more children than they, at the end of their fertile ages, will get. So I can very much only reiterate what my knowledgeable colleague just have said from Italy. But I will try to move my presentation. Yes, it seems to work. So there is a demographic winter in Europe, we all know, but we do not speak too much about it. So let me, in a very short manner, try to say a couple of words about that. Because demographic winter is an issue, because there is no single member state, indeed in the European Union, who would reach the 2.1, the famous 2.1 total fertility rate that would be enough for the renewal of our population without migration. And this has very problematic effects, not just demographic ones, but also an economical, political, and so to say relevance-based problem, as the population of Europe used to be much, much higher. In the 60s, every European or every citizen of the world was, out of them, 20% was European. Currently it is around 10, and the projections are not very happy, so to say. Until 2070 we would only be accounting for 6% of the population, and this is exactly the same with our economic strength, whereby in 2008 we've been accounting for roughly 30% of the global economy, global GDP. It was already only 16% in 2014, and since that Brexit has happened, and of course repeating crises. So yes, there is an aging problem, there is a sustainability problem, there is a healthcare problem, and there is a workforce problem. So we have to address the demographic challenges of the European Union and of the European member states, which currently practically all of us face, maybe in a different magnitude. I will talk about Hungary, but certainly it is a problem everywhere. But it looks like that the children are invisible. There is only an adults-only culture present in Europe. The demographic challenges are certainly not the ones we do talk enough about in the mainstream European discussions. It looks like that, unfortunately, parents are only seen as workforce, missing out from the career. Motherhood and child rearing is not at all valued as something per se, something which would per se be a positivity to the entire communities, to the entire societies. There are constant charges against the traditional family, which is truly the basic building block of any society. And there is, of course, the relativization of marriage, the traditional marriage between one woman and one man, but there is a constant push for the same-sex marriage. I believe this is a paradox on itself. And then, of course, churches representing eternal values are very much condemned. And we unfortunately already see that some do give in this respect. And it's not only the traditional marriage, for example, that they are representing and supporting. And of course, again, a big paradox. How come, or how is it possible that abortion is seen by the mainstream media and many political actors is the peak of the women's rights? And of course, let's face reality. This is the old age dependency ratio, practically meaning that what is the percentage of elderly over 65 in the percentage of the workforce. So those between 15 and 64, this is indeed a growing number, and the growth continues as if we take the projections until 2050, 2070. So it will be more and more elderly to be taken care by less and less in the active workforce. The same for the EU 2017, 27 member states and our own country, Hungary, as well. And then this is, I wanted to bring in this slide, this is the culture of loneliness. The blue column, the first one, is practically widowers, so single adults or those who never been married, but of course many of them were married, but of course, as we all know, that usually women are the ones who live longer. There is a very large proportion of widowers, for example, or those who are older, elderly, and live practically alone. And of course, in that sense, we can see that it is at least 25 to 30% in most of the European member states. So this is again a question where we do have to be very active to address the problem of loneliness. And then I would also like to draw attention to a European phenomenon. Practically, it is a global phenomenon. We did a research in 10 European member states asking large families about their attitudes towards the environment. And we did that in Hungary as in a representative research, and we did that in Hungary among those living with large families. And we asked them whether they agree with the statement that due to the impending climate catastrophe, it's not worth giving birth to a child. And it's very nice to see that the large families, practically 9 out of 10 do not agree with this statement, and 7 out of 10 in Hungary in general and in Europe among the large families, out of 10, 7% do not agree with this. But this is something which is indeed a threat to the young generation in their childbearing ages, as they are there are voices, unfortunately also celebrities, bombarding them with this idea that you should not have children, you should not have large family, you should not have more children, because that would be a problem for the environment, whereby we all know that this statement is false. And it is also very dangerous, because we have many people in Europe and in the modern world who believe that they have a good life, an ideal life without children. That is up to their decision, but they should not try to put that in some sort of a green camouflage and say that they decided so because they don't want to have a burden by these babies on the environment. And then a couple of words about what we believe in Hungary can be a successful demographic policies, and afterwards I will talk about in a very fast manner about the most significant data underpinning this. So first of all, we decided in 2010 to shift the country from individualism towards strengthening communities, and among communities we very much support the family, but we also very much support religious communities, Boy Scouting, Girl Scouting, and so on. We believe that we have to help Europeans to decide for a family and children, and in order to help them, we have to provide them or give them decent employment, housing, and prospects. And we also have to strengthen marriages, and we have to encourage young Europeans to make that commitment and enter the bond of the wedlock. Why are these three issues the most important? Because if we ask young Hungarians, at least, what are the three most determining factors when they decide about the number of their children, the first is the partnership, so practically marriage. Second one is decent employment, and the third one is housing, proper and adequate housing. We also have to address the prolongation of childbirths, as Europeans and Hungarians want more children, but if they start too late, then there will be no time for having the second, third, fourth, fifth baby. Biology is ticking. We have to reconcile work and family life, but from the focus of the family and not from the employer. We talk a lot about reconciliation, but we do not necessarily believe that most of that talk is done from the angle and from the perspective of the family. It is rather shifted on a way that we want mothers and young parents or parents who are raising young children as fast back to the labor market as only possible. So, and of course, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. We have to respect traditions. We have to respect cultural and religious specificities. The EU shall not be a melting point. We all know that, for example, here in Bratislava, in Slovakia, in Poland, in Hungary, in Czech Republic, there is no real need for child daycare services below the age of 1 of the child, because that's not within our children, or not within our culture, to bring so little children to the creche, to the nursery. We know that this is perfectly normal in Brussels and elsewhere, but this is something which is not the practice, so to say, in Eastern and Central Europe. And of course, we have to be very active in intergenerational solidarity. So, because it's mutually important for both the elderly, the parents, and the grandchildren. The elderly would like to spend more time with their grandchildren. The parents need help in raising the children. During the COVID, they would have needed help also to take care of the elderly, whom we all know that throughout the lockdowns, we asked the elderly not to leave the house, only for the essentials, as they were the ones who were in the biggest threat of the crisis. And then let me, in a very fast manner, summarize some of the effects and some of the achievements we have done in the last 10, 11 years. So this is what you can see here is the number of women in between 20 to 39, so practically childbearing ages, and over 60. You can see that what we are trying to do in Hungary is so certainly very close to the miracle. We would like more women to have much more babies than they used to have. We have more than 250,000 less women in childbearing ages in 2021 than we had in 2010. This is the development of marriages, just in a very fast manner. When Fidesz started the family-friendly shift and governed with demography and helping families on their flag, so to say, we had 35,000 marriages. And now we have 72,000 marriages. Last time we had so many marriages was in 86, so it's completely in a different time, so to say. We managed to double the number of marriages in Hungary, and which is fantastic is that in parallel to that we can register a drop in the divorce rates as well. So we have more marriages, and in parallel we have less divorces. We have not changed the legal surrounding of abortions, but by advocating for pro-life and pro-family, we managed to have a very sharp decrease in the number of abortions in Hungary. 41% less abortion. Last time we had so little amount was in 1958. And I would like to close my intervention with something which we all know that is a tragedy, a pressing issue in the imminent neighborhood. We have millions of people fleeing the Ukraine, fleeing war. They are mostly families, women with children, elderly. They even had an 11-year-old boy who came all alone and was helped at the border. We have this slide was prepared 2 days ago. Now we are at over 400,000 refugees arriving from the war-torn Ukraine. From directly, we have a border with them, and also through Romania. And of course, Christian aid organizations are working in the first rows. the Catholic Caritas as well as all other aid organizations provide food, shelter, and a shoulder to rely on. I believe this human respect is just as important. These people are devastated, fleeing bombed houses, and it is a very sad and heartbreaking to see them in this situation. We are very happy, and I can only join the Excellency, the Minister of Slovakia responsible for families as well. We have the entire country moving all together and feeling with the refugees, and as a first safe country, we are doing all what is in our power to help all of them. And I just wanted to include some little pictures here from how actually we can do that. And the little drawing on the right bottom says that there is a little boy saying that he loves Budapest, and certainly he was that time already playing and feeling safe. This will be an ongoing crisis, and certainly we have to do our utmost to help families in need, help Ukrainians who are really fleeing war, and it is, as I have already said, heartbreaking to see. So, closing with a more positive note, there are only two countries in Europe, Iceland and Hungary, where the births in 2020 were not lower than the births averaged in the years of 2016 to 2019. So it means that with extensive family policies, you can mitigate the effects even of a pandemic. So we will continue like that. We hope that at the elections in next month, this Christian Democratic government will receive the possibility to continue, and we would certainly like to continue with trying to reach replacement level in Hungary. The aim is to reach 2.1 fertility rate until 2030. Thank you very much, Nicola. Thank you very much for the attention, and of course I'm very happy to join the discussion later on. Thank you.
Thank you for this intervention. Thank you, Balázs. You have touched upon several topics, even very sensitive topics, which are very close to the hearts of the minds of this audience. Showing also with the concrete data as this culture of investing in human capital Professor Blangiardo was referring to can bring results, concrete results. You also mentioned the work of Christian organizations, Caritas. We have days here with us, and this gratitude for the work and service of so many organizations and volunteers on the border right now with Ukraine, as echoed here several times in this room since this morning. I would like now to open the floor to some questions, both from the audience here in Bratislava, but also from our online participants. Just use, for those who are online, just use the function to raise your digital hand, please, and our staff there will try to take your question. And the same here, you don't need to raise your digital hand, but just your real physical hand. We already have a first question here from Maria Newman, from Secretary General of Caritas Europe. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much, Nicola. Thank you so much to the speakers. So I'm Maria Niemann, Secretary General of Caritas Europa, but my reflection now was rather from the perspective of a mother. So I have 5 children, and we were hearing the importance of family-friendly policies, the need to ensure respect of motherhood, and so on. The importance of work-life balance. But having 5 children, I think more than anything, it's also in the society of Europe today, a leap into the unknown and a leap of trust. And I think as church, we have a hugely important role to play in terms of spreading hope and showing to the younger generation that hope is possible, that love is possible, that happiness is possible. Also, today, our young generation, they are living in a society of fear spreading, of there is the pandemic, there is a war, there is a climate catastrophe, and it's very easy to get a sense that there is little hope. And you were mentioning the fact that and we were hearing many times that younger people sometimes feel that how can we even give children to this world? But we have as church a huge role to play. Christ is risen, and hope is possible. And I think we have to come across with this message as well. Yeah, the policies are really important, but we have to show the young generation that there are reasons to believe in love, and that there are reasons to hope, and that you can be happy, that happiness is possible with quite little. I think that's really a message I would like the younger generation to hear, that, you can take that leap into the unknown. There is someone there to pick you up, to catch you, to support you, to accompany you. And so that was a personal remark rather than from the Caritas perspective. But, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria. This is really the response to the questions I asked this morning, and I'm very happy that this comes from you. Cardinal Ulrich, Your Eminence, President of COMECE, would like to ask here to first row. Yes. First row.
I would like to stress the same as Maria did, because I am very much involved with young people. And when I speak with them late in the evening, there is a deep desire in them to get married, a deep desire to become father, to become mother. But they are afraid, because especially in Western Europe, they see so many people who are divorced, and many of them come also from families which did not function. And so I think it's so important to have a presence of young couples, of young fathers, young mothers in youth pastoral, to give a sign of hope, to show this possibility of happiness inside families. And that's like a natural vocation. I once had a homily for scouts, and I told them we have something in common. We are all called to be fathers. Most of you real fathers, and the other spiritual fathers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Monsignor Crociata, Vice President of COMECE.
Grazie, buon pomeriggio a tutti.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I do not know if Professor Blangiardo is still online and he can answer, but I wanted to introduce in our debate two questions. The first one is a statistical question. I was wondering whether in the case of Italy, we have statistical reasons, let's say, to also capture the increase in the birth rate that is due to the inflow of immigrants that have migrated to Italy over the last few years. The second question, instead, refers to the last two comments that were made. It goes back to these last two comments. So together with, let's say, quantitative studies, I was wondering whether qualitative analyses are being carried out that are able to capture the reasons why people decide to have children or decide to postpone having children. And of course, I totally agree with the two previous speakers. Thank you.
Professor Blangiardo is not online anymore. I would like to maybe try to, if Balázs Molnár is here, is online. maybe you can try to give a reply from the Hungarian perspective, of course, on the migrants and this second part of the question.
Thank you very much. First of all, I could not agree more to the first two interventions. And as I hope I did refer to that when I was speaking, that providing food and shelter and warm clothes is, of course, of crucial importance. But of course, we also should not forget to have a word, a kind word and a shoulder to rely on and help them, that we are there and we are listening and we care about their destinies, and that is something I believe we should be as Christians and as Catholic aid workers and as just volunteers on the border, which I am, for example. On the other hand, yes, there are many tendencies which can stop young Europeans to have as many children as they would like to have. And yes, according to our studies, they still want to get married and they still want to commit. And of course, we have to in that sense give them the hope, of course. And of course, we should also spotlight marriages which work, as there are so many spotlight on marriages that do not work, of course, by media and many other media actors. On the other hand, prolongation, as I have said, is an issue. And of course, we have data on the share of children born to non-resident or non-citizen families throughout Europe. This is something which is a question in some member states. There are quite some member states where every third or fourth child is born to mothers who were not citizens of the country. But I do not believe that this is the most important question. I'm quite confident that what we have to do is encourage our congregations, our people to choose the life to live in a family. We all know, and data shows that you are more happy than living a life in a family. You are more happy, you are more healthy if you have a good relation to your children, and certainly you are more happy if you have a good community around you. So I believe this is what we should all focus on, to build these circles of trust and these circles of hope, if I may quote here, because this is what can lead us to a stronger Europe and to a Europe where we have more and more wished for babies born. Thank you.
Thank you. Misa, did you want to add a comment?
Yes, just shortly about what also Maria said about the hope. We are really blessed in Finland that we have many small communities, for example, from Italy, Spain, who are going to the diaspora areas and trying to give the hope for the new families, and to tell them that having children is not a problem. Actually, it could be a bliss. And via Caritas, different projects, we also try to give them the self-confidence about that you can still follow your dream in a working life or to study more, even if you have children. So I really relate with these.
Thank you. The small communities where people are can help each other. I see a raised hands online from Bishop Nicholas Hudson. I think it's connected from London. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for most stimulating presentations. We've heard reference to the cohesion between EU member states in their universal welcome to refugees, and the response has been so impressive to hear the last speaker say that just in the last 2 days, Hungary has seen the number of refugees rise by 120,000. And it's truly marvellous and deeply Christian in its response. But I wonder, does the speaker think that cohesion risks being threatened once the number of refugees begins radically to exceed the number of jobs available, the amount of housing possible, and countries of welcome begin to seek to pass on some of their refugees onto third countries.
Palash, I think this is for you.
Well, yes, what is currently happening is that there is a relatively small number of Ukrainians who tend to stay in the territory of Hungary longer. We have a relatively large ethnic minority, Hungarian ethnic minority in the Ukraine. I believe that they are roughly 150, 200,000. They are probably the first group who would consider to stay longer in Hungary. And of course, well, our job currently and now is, as this being still a relatively new war and new conflict, to help everyone to enter, to give the first aid, so to say, and help anyone who wishes to stay, and of course help also those with travel documents and with shelter for a couple of days on train tickets and whatever transportation, if they would wish to join family members or groups elsewhere. What we certainly know is that the largest proportion of those arriving to Hungary, of Ukrainians, are on their way to either communities in Western Europe, Ukrainian communities. Some of them are picked up by family members. They are already waiting in the first safe spot in Eastern Hungary. And many do start the journey towards Poland. I am a bit at this point, we are not afraid that the help of either the communities or the individuals would not last long enough. We, of course, can't predict how long this terrible war will go on. And as we all know, with all these crises, if it lasts very long, it certainly can result in the drop of the willingness to help. But at this point, what we see is there's a tremendous response from everyone, from local communities, from volunteers, from aid organizations, from government organizations, authorities, practically everyone. So I very much hope that this lasts. All I can say from our office, or for example, we live in a small settlement just next to Budapest. Here has been ongoing efforts to help where we can. We have refugees in the next village. From the first little things, if they ask for something, it's immediately is provided by someone, a trolley, a baby seat, or anything. I hope that this will last. Of course, I will be short. If we continue with numbers like this, our estimations are that the next week or next 2 weeks, we certainly can see very, very high numbers, and Hungary is currently preparing to upscale the efforts if needed. We hope it will not be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have another question from the audience here, I think. Yes, I cannot see.
Buongiorno, sono Padre Virgil, Vescovo.
Father Virgil, Bishop of Oradea in Romania. I would like to speak support of Maria, who spoke earlier. She said she has 5 children, and these days in Oradea, a family of a Ukrainian priest came to me. They have 6 children. He came to my home, he was crying, and he said that in the same day he returned to Ukraine, and his wife and children stayed with us. We found them a home. The 5 out of 6 are at school, the 6th one is too young. And I believe that for them too, it was very difficult to grow 6 children. But it's very difficult as a church. This morning we were talking about responsible parenthood. we are changing the paradigm of the conversation, because until some time ago we spoke about responsible paternity and maternity, and it is with regard to this Ukrainian war, responsible parenthood in the Nordic country suddenly takes on the guise of parent 1 and parent 2. But now in Ukraine, women can and do leave with their children, and the men return to Ukraine. This is what happened in my case. If we're not careful not to introduce certain things, because this responsible parenthood tends to go towards the gender ideology discourse, and if we are not careful to look after these families who have children, we too run the risk of getting to the point that some politicians forward, that is that abortion is a fundamental right. Our responsibility as a church is very strong with regard to families and the theology which we try to circulate, as well as the responsibilities towards these families. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency.
We have another question from an online participant, Ernesta Karnailaite from Caritas Lithuania.
Hello, everyone. Yes. Thank you very much for really interesting thoughts and ideas and experiences you shared here live in this session. I was thinking, looking to the prospect of Lithuania, what we have is that last year was the lowest birth rate in 60 years we had in Lithuania, and there are a lot of thoughts what's going on, and the main thought, what is the challenge in, for example, in Lithuania is the fragmentation in society, which is feeling like for more than 3 years living in the crisis of, first of all, of the pandemic, when society was fragmented in one side, what's false and what's true about the coronavirus, and the year after that we had the migrant crisis from Belarus, and now we have like 4,000 migrants from East, Middle East, and there was a lot of fragmentation in society and a lot of uncertainty because nobody know why are they coming, or nobody knew with what purpose do we want to come to society, and a lot of was shaken by the government, which was at first not threatening, but telling that it's that the situation in Lithuania is quite dangerous, comparing what we have in our neighbors, and now we have the Ukraine, which is really near us, and a lot of Lithuanians relive the experiences we have not so many years ago. And for me, the question is, looking from the perspective of your nations, of your countries, what could you say could be the glue in the society? Because at the moment, I could say that fraternity and solidarity in Lithuania is number one thing, just because we can have the weapon in our hands. So the Lithuanians, when we get solidarity with each other and helps Ukrainians as much as we can, and the brothers, of course, from the east coming from Belarus. So yes, for me the question in this kind of situation, not exactly the same in your societies, of course, but what could you share would be the glue in your societies?
Well, I think your question is how to respond to the you're referring to the demographic challenges, isn't it? Because the connection was interrupted.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, I would like to maybe Balázs Molnar, if we would like to very briefly, because we have only 5 minutes.
Want to stop? Very shortly. I believe that currently the biggest challenge is, if we talk about the demographic situation, is that we have to show that having a family is a very valuable thing, and not just for you, but it is also very good for you, as I have said, it's proven. But on the other hand, this is something which is very much needed for maintaining our own countries, to have the young people the possibility to have as many children as they would like to have. There is a big fertility gap in every of our countries. So and then the last way is that we should try to encourage our young people to get married, to opt for children, try to show them in a very positive way that this is fun to live with children, that and of course we are trying to uplift their financial situation as well, to show that actually this is good to live in families. And by that, I believe that currently this is more about the transformation of the mindset in Hungary, at least, than about finances. And I'm personally convinced that now how we can still uplift our demographic situation is to show to those who do not yet have children that there are families, happy families, prosperous families in the country, so that we can somehow minimize their threats of choosing this sort of a life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we have just one short question, two last minutes, and maybe last one.
Soltanto ricordare una cosa che credo che un po'.
Just to say something which we are listening to, the demographic winter which we hear about in the church, we've heard about for a long time now. Politicians have realized the issue. It's interesting for us sitting here and listening to this as Christians, looking at the common good, the good of society. We see that the birth rate must always be associated to language, to family policies, support. So gender ideology as the essence against families is not enough to change the birth rate. Once you have the children, you have to help, you need support. So a policy of promoting birth rate will always go hand in hand with a policy promoting the family culture of true love, of sex complementarity, and otherwise this winter will be colder and colder, even though there is global warming.
Thank you. One very last question. I don't see who is there. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks so much.
Sarah.
I actually have the same question.
Please introduce yourself. Yeah,
I'm Sarah Prenger from the International Young
thank
Christian Workers. And I have the same question that you, Nicola, actually asked last session. Seeing all these young people who really are worried about our environment, which is also obviously a Catholic perspective, And the issue that actually all over the globe we do have enough people, or we have many people actually. So the question is, what do you answer them if they say, okay, creating more people, it will actually have an impact on our environment? What is your answer to that? Thank you.
The question is to me, Sarah? Okay, in general. Balázs, please.
You know, first of all, we can say that that in families, you want to preserve the environment to your children and grandchildren. So you already have an incentive to try to live an as green life, so to say, in a very easy and minimizing manner. On the other hand, this argument about there are already enough people in the world is false, because there are no one else thinks as we do. No one else thinks as Czech, as Slovak, as Hungarian, as German and Italian. So if we just take everyone as one, yes, we might have already a large enough population. On the other hand, we will lose entire nations, entire thoughts, entire ways of lives if we do not address this big phenomena of the demographic winter, which is making Europe be less and less and less significant in the global context. So I believe that we have to say that yes, we Christians, we family members, we are aware of the situation, that we have to be very active in protecting the environment. But we can certainly change in that respect, or we can certainly do more in that respect always. But it should not mean that we can't have as many children as we would like to have. And as a last note, this takes decades to influence demographic policies towards the positive, but you can, with one or two false policies or austerity or some sort of a hysteria like this, you can do a very, very great harm within a couple of weeks even. So we have to be, in that sense, very, very, very vigilant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Balázs. I will read very quickly a last comment from Veronica Barbati. I will read it out in Italian, who intervened online, and she said, guardando I dati, la situazione potrebbe...
Looking at data, the situation could not be reassuring. However, it gives a deep meaning as to how indispensable and necessary a deep action for youth is necessary, not only with regard to the opportunities that life dedicated to other can do, but that active participation in social and political life can help us to build a more promising scenario. On the other hand, well-programmed political ideas need to come about which can return a support for families. I think the general problem is a mistrust in the future.
It's a sort of wrap-up comment in the sense that we really can feel that there is a lot of untrust, and also I cannot refrain from responding also to this question, this childless society that some are proposing, because a childless society is really a sad society, and while even somebody who, like Elon Musk, who is not a model of Christian, I would say, but is recognizing with very scientific facts that the demographic bomb is a lie, is not what really is happening, even concerning the climate and the challenges. So I feel this was not so much a siesta session. I think, I hope you felt it was, and you are ready to go into the workshops with plenty of ideas. Thank you very much Meitha. Thank you very much, Balázs, who stayed with us in this panel. Let me, as I quoted Elon Musk, but I would like to end with another quote from Pope Francis at the General States of Birth last year. And with this we will end. And please remind that you will be divided into your language, your workshop divided into languages. You have the language. I discovered my language is English, so I will be in the English workshop, and then also people online will be redirected directly on the online workshop. Let me finish this session by quoting Pope Francis at the General States of Birth last year. He said, let us help each other, dear friends, to rediscover the courage to give, the courage to choose life. The courage to choose life is creative because it does not accumulate or multiply what already exists, but opens up to novelty, to surprises. Every human life is a true novelty, which knows no before and after in history. We have all received this unrepeatable gift and the talents we have served to pass on from generation to generation, the first gift of God, the gift of life. Thank you very much.